Alright, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to give you a full guide to recoil control and what you can do to control your recoil better in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I've made this video in the past, or a similar video. This is going to be a more updated guide with some extra information that I didn't show in the other original video. So if you haven't seen the original video, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to go over some of the points that I mentioned in there, but I'm also going to mention some new ones that I have not talked about yet. So let's get straight into it. So in Siege, every gun will have a set recoil pattern. Well, it's not fully set, like there is variation, there is random, but it's semi-set recoil patterns. So like every gun will follow the same theme. So let's use Buck C8 for an example. So if I go to this wall in the firing range, in the shooting range, and I just shoot the wall without controlling recoil, as you can see, generally the gun goes up and to the right. Now let's see if it does it again. Up and to the right. So every time I shoot this gun, it's going to go up and to the right. I'm using Buck's got somewhat of a high recoil for what Siege gun's recoil is like. So the gun goes up and to the right, so what you want to do to counteract that is to go down and to the left. When you're trying to practice your recoil with a gun, you want to look at two things when you're actually initially looking at what the recoil is like, and that is the vertical and then the horizontal recoil. So you want to separate them out into the two, just to make it easier to practice it. So as we know, this goes up and to the right. So to practice the vertical recoil, you want to go straight down, and then we'll go down at the same level as what it actually goes up. So you want to go like just straight down like that, and as you can see, it's pretty in level, but it goes a little bit to the right, and that's because we're not counteracting that by going to the left. What you want to do is you want to do the opposite of what the recoil pattern does here. So this goes up and to the right, we want to go down and to the left. We've done the down bit there. If this isn't like as accurate like that for you, like along the same line or like a similar line, then you want to keep practicing it until you get it to around about this point. But now we need to go down and to the left because it goes up and to the right, like I said before. So down and to the left. Now I didn't go down as much as I should have, so it goes up a little bit. There's a little bit of variation, and I over pulled down a little bit here. But as you can see, generally like this goes more out wide than this does, because I was counteracting the left recoil. Obviously this is a really short distance, so it's not going to be that high recoil. Like it's going to be more condensed. But for the most part, that's what you want to do. You want to go like look at what the recoil pattern does, separate it out in between the horizontal and the vertical, and then you want to counteract each part of it individually until you get them both down together. So we'll start off by doing the vertical, then we'll do the horizontal together. Now that we know how to find out what the recoil pattern's like and how to do recoil in general, like as a base term, you want to know how to practice that, right? So what I like to do is in the firing range, I change the target to the silhouette, to the person, rather than the bullseye. So you want to click that button there, or shoot it to turn it into a person, and then you want to start off at 10 meters, just because 5 meters is not really that like worthwhile to practice. Like I mean, it's very easy to control your recoil at 5 meters. So you don't really need to do that. So you want to change it to 10 meters, and then you want to start off from there. So again, following the recoil pattern, the first drill that I'm going to show you is that you want to do 3 clips, so 3 magazines on 3 of the distances, so on 10 meters, 20 meters and 30 meters. Generally you'll find that when you do the 30 meter one, the recoil is not going to stay on the person and it's going to go a bit wild, but that's because you're very rarely going to full spray at 30 meters. It's just kind of exposing yourself to the worst case scenarios, like the hardest way, that the hardest version that the recoil could be for you, because once you're able to do it at the hardest, you can do it at the easiest. It basically makes doing the closer ranges easier if you practice at this 30 meters. So I'm going to quickly do one clip on each of them just to show you how I would do it. So you start off on the 10 meters. You want to go as close as you can to the barrier, and then you want to just control the recoil on the head as much as you can. So as you can see, it's pretty much around the head. There's quite a bit going off of it, like on the left and on the right, which means that I'm overcompensating to the left and I'm also undercompensating on the vertical. So when I do it again the next time, I'm going to want to try and keep that as perfect as I can. There's a little bit of jumpy around there, but Buck's gun kind of jumps a little bit, so for the most part, that's pretty okay. If you do this on the body, you'll notice that like all of these kind of line up with the body, except maybe that one there. So if you do it on the body, if you're spraying like center mass on the body, it's going to be pretty accurate for like all of the bullets. But on the head, obviously, it's a smaller target. But that's why we're practicing it on that head, because it's a smaller target, so it's going to be harder to actually hit. Which means that if you're able to hit them with the majority of your bullets, then when you go to try and spray somebody in their body, it's going to be pretty easy sailing from there. So you want to do that at 10 meters, and then you want to do that at 20 meters. Okay, as you can see, that was a bit more jumpy, but it is a longer distance, so it's obviously going to be harder to control. I'm not really aiming for a specific point on the body right now, but if you're trying to like be precise with it, you're going to want to aim as high up in the body as you can, because that'll do the most damage to them. If you're spraying them in the legs, you're going to miss a lot because the legs are skinny, and you're also not going to do as much damage. So you're going to want to either aim for the head, but you don't. If you're going to try and aim for headshots, you don't really need to spray. I like to just aim like chest or head, and then if you're undercompensating the vertical, it'll go up and hit the head. If you aim for the body and then you just spray them into the body, it'll do enough damage to kill them quite quickly. So we'll do 20 meters now. As you can see, the majority of the bullets hit, maybe a couple off here and a couple off there. But you want to go again at 30 now, after you've done 3 clips on the 10 and the 20. So you want to clear the decal every time. So there we go. As you can see, they're a lot more like spread out across the body, because it's hard to be precise exactly where. But then again, like I said before, you're not going to be aiming exactly like you're not going to be spraying full clips at 30-meter distances. You're going to be doing like, you're going to be like bursting, or you're going to be tapping. You're going to be like, but that's just making it harder and making it harder for you. When you're trying to practice something like recoil control, if you're trying to just get by and just do the bare minimum, you can just get through by doing this. However, if you want to be proficient at it, you want to start making the practice even harder, just so that when it comes time to actually in-game and you have all the other variables of the game going on, you're able to do it better. One way I like to do this is by putting a suppressor on the gun that I'm using. Why you want to put a suppressor on your gun when you're doing this next drill is because it's not going to give you any of the recoil benefits that a flash hider, a compensator, or a muzzle brake is going to do. You can put an extended barrel on, but the suppressor works the same. So you want to put a suppressor on the gun, and then you want to go back into the shooting range, and you want to do the same drill again, but with a suppressor on. And the reason why is because you want to make the game, like you want to make the setting that you're practicing in harder than the actual environment that you're going to be playing it in. So an example of this is like a musician, like a guitarist, will practice a song at like a slower speed to get used to it and make it easier, and then once they ease into the higher speed and get to the original speed, they may find it's okay, but they're struggling at some bits, so then they're going to speed up the speed a little bit and make it even harder for themselves. And then once they're able to do it at the higher speed, going back down to that normal speed is just so much easier. And the same goes for like rappers. If you're trying to learn like a really fast rap verse, you're going to want to practice it slowly until you get able to do it, and then you want to up the speed a little bit, like 1.25 speed, and then if you're able to do it at that speed and then trying to go back down, it feels like a snail pace compared to what it might have felt like originally if you started off at a slower pace. So you want to use a suppressor, because the recoil pattern is going to be the same. I'll show you that now. It's still up and to the right a little bit. So you want to do the same drill again, 3 clips on the 3 different distances, but with a suppressor on. As you can see, it's a lot more jumpy and there's a lot higher vertical. But for the most part, it's still the same recoil. It's still the same pattern. So if you get the pattern down, you can pretty easily do that, and you can pretty easily do your 3 clips and then go to the 3 distances. When you get the 31, it's going to be really hard to stay on target. But once you if you do this drill, when you go back to taking the suppressor off it, it's going to feel so much easier. As you can see, it's jumping around all over the place there. Alright, so the next drill I'm going to talk about is similar to the last one, where you're making it harder than what it'll actually be like, to make it easier when you're eventually doing it in a game. And that is to change your sensitivity. Now, you might be thinking, why the hell is he telling me to change my sensitivity when I'm trying to practice something that I'm going to do in a game? For me, personally, I find recoil control easier to do on a higher sensitivity. So if I make the sensitivity lower, it's going to make that recoil control harder to do, while keeping the same pattern and the same sort of other variables. So what I like to do is I go into the options, go into controls, change my sensitivity down by 2. So now I'm on 6.6. And then I try and do the recoil control, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible at first. You're not going to hit all of the shots like you would if you are after you've practiced the other ones. But you want to just do your recoil control as you would. As you can see, it's jumping all over. There's so many bullets going off the target. But once you've done this a few times and then you change back up to your normal sensitivity, you're going to find that it's a little bit easier to do on that higher sensitivity once you've changed it. If for you it feels like your recoil control is better on a lower sensitivity compared to a higher sensitivity, then you might want to do the opposite of this. Instead of going down, you might want to go up with your sense. You want to do something that like throws it off a little bit to make it a little bit harder, and then once you go back to your normal sense, it's going to make it easier to do. I'm not saying to like play a game like this, you're not going to, because that's going to mess up your muscle memory. On this, we're not aiming at anything, we're just keeping the target in the same place, we're crosshair in the same place, sorry. So it's not really going to mess up your muscle memory. It's just going to like mess up your recoil control muscle memory, which hopefully it'll trigger your brain to be like, okay, I need to change that and I need to do this instead. But once you've done the 3 drills with that, once you've done the 3 runs of that, of like three runs of 3 magazine, so once you've done the 3 runs of this drill, like the 3 distances, 3 magazines, then you want to go on to the next thing that I'm going to talk about now. Alright, so for the next drill, we're going to go into the zone 2 area of the target range, which is where it's just the stationary target standing there waiting for you. And what you want to do is you want to do the same as before, however you want to do it while moving. So we've got the recoil control down of standing still, but you're not going to be standing still in the game, you're going to be moving around. So you want to move around, keep your aim on the target, while also trying to control recoil, because it's very easy to just be like, okay, I've got 25 out of 27, my recoil control is down, or like, okay, I got 28 out of 30, my recoil control is good, I can do that now. But then when you come into a game and you have to move around and do the recoil control, then you start aiming like this, and you're like, your target's missing, you're off the target, you're not getting the recoil perfectly, you're not keeping your aim on the target, and you're just missing loads of shots. So what you're going to want to do is stand around where the yellow box is here, just move in circles, and like move left and right, sorry, and keep your aim on the target at first. Once you're able to keep your aim on the target, you want to start putting in some shots. So you want to do like a full magazine. You want to go like that. As you'll see, I've got 25 out of 31. It's not ideal. It could be a lot better. There we go, I got 28 out of 31. What I would like to say is you aim for around about 27 out of 30, which might be hard at first, but once you get to that, you're going to be pretty confident that in a game you're going to be able to keep on target and keep track of what you're aiming like. So to add to this like drill, what you want to do is you want to add some leans into the mix as well, because as you see, when you're leaning, it messes up your aim, messes up your crosshair, goes to the side. So you want to like counteract that while you're playing as well by keeping your aim on the target even while you're leaning. So I'm going to start off by leaning, then I'm going to lean the other way, and like in the process I'm still doing the moving around, I'm still doing the recoil control, and I got 30 out of 31 there, as you can see, but by adding some leans into the mix. Sometimes as well you might realize, like when you get to a point of the recoil where your aim's off a little bit, if you lean onto it, then you're on the target again. So if you realize your aim's off a bit, you want to lean onto the target as well. And now you can add to this drill by doing the suppressor drill again and then doing the sensitivity drill. However, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the sensitivity drill, because changing your horizontal and vertical down by 2 is very, very big. It's a very big change, which means that if you're trying to aim at them and like keep on target, it's going to mess up your aim and muscle memory a little bit, so you don't really want to do that. So the last and final drill I'm going to talk about is in the 3rd zone of the shooting range, and it's where you can do like the aim training practice bit. What you're going to want to do is you want to set it to as long as you need. I'm going to set it to 15 just for the video. You want to change the targets to dummies and have them to have the most health possible. And then you're going to want to add as much targets as you can, which is 4. Keep the movement speed on random, just so it's a bit of variation for you. And then change the distance to random as well. Now, I like to do infinite magazine, but you don't need to if you don't want to. But what you want to do is you want to start the drill on this. And you simply want to just control the recoil on the bots that are moving around. You don't want to aim for headshots, you just want to aim for the body. And you want to just like control recoil on them. And you want to try and like mix up like stopping firing, then getting onto another target. And then you want to also like add in some like continuously spraying and like trying to transfer. But generally you just want to follow them and like keep your aim on them as much as you can without aiming for headshots, because a headshot will just one hit kill them. And also you want to add some movement to it as well, so I'll do another one where I start moving around at the same time. But generally you just want to do that. You want to add some movement to the mix, you want to add some like variation of like crouching, changing your level, while also keeping recoil on track, keeping on top of them, and then switching to different targets while they're moving around as well, which will add some practice for when you're playing against people in game, and you'll like multiple targets might appear, they'll be moving around, they won't be stationary like the other drills have been. So once you've done that, I'd say you do that like 3 times. At maybe 60 seconds maximum, so like 3 times at 60 seconds, or like 4 times at 30 seconds maybe. Once you've done all that, then you're pretty much good to get into a ranked, and your recoil control should feel better. I would suggest doing these drills at least 4 times a week if you play every day, just so you keep on top of them. You don't want to do them once and then forget about them. You want to keep on track on doing them and do them consistently as much as you can. So before I end the video, I just want to say, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I will answer them. I answer every single comment. Also, I've got a Discord. There's a link in the description if you want to join that. You can play games with me. You can have, if you have any questions, you can ask me questions. If you want to participate in videos, I do get people from my Discord into videos, possibly, if I do things like that in the future. So if you want to join that and participate, or ask any questions, or play some games with people in the community, then join the link in the description down below and join up. But yeah, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.